There are 9 things I'm going to talk about today about fascia that will literally blow your mind. Now, I went through a lot of training on the body, anatomy, physiology. When we talked about fascia, it was this extra passive tissue, like bubble wrap that just packs certain things. Fascia is the matrix or the material that surrounds every muscle in the body. Like, let me just give you an example. If we take this weight, for example, and I start lifting it like this, right? For about, 20 times. I'm going to get tired, right? I'm using a lot of energy when I'm doing this. Now, if we attach some fascial tissue to the weight, okay, and do that, I'm still lifting the weight, but I'm using a lot less energy because I'm using the free energy from the elastic band. That gives you a lot of transfer of energy. Running, jumping, etc. is not just about contraction and relaxation of muscles. It's about the loading of the tendons and ligaments and fascia and then releasing it. Fascia gives you your posture. You ever see people when they get older, like some people literally are looking straight down when they're walking, and that could have been totally prevented if they understood how to keep the fascia healthy and repair it, which I'm going to tell you at the end of this video. Fascia also gives you your body shape. Fascia also has similar properties to liquid crystals in those like digital TVs. It has these repeating patterns of similar type shapes that have the ability to change and adapt to the environment. The little cells that make fascia or collagen are called fibroblasts. And these little cells are like little spiders that can migrate. They can move through your body, and you have billions of them all over the place. And they're basically laying down this, it's called ground substance, to allow for lubrication and movement. And the next one is they're highly involved with the immune system. This is why our fascia can be sore, as in fibromyalgia, and plantar fasciitis, and over time that injury becomes an adhesion. So this is why myofascial release and other techniques, and massage and trigger point therapy, are all really important, especially if you had injuries. Now, when you stop moving, the collagen is going to get sticky, it's going to get stiff, and the fascia is going to fuse together and stiffen. And when you start moving that tissue, it's not going to let you move. It's going to be very restricted. And maybe in your mind, you might think, oh, wow, I have a tight muscle. No, you don't. You have tight fascia. And fascia is also connected from head to toe. And so knowing this really helped me understand why certain techniques worked when I was in practice. For example, when people would come in and have injuries on their tailbone, I found the best relief I can give them is by working on the back of the neck, the occiput. Releasing the occiput seems to help tailbone injuries. Now, why would that work? Because of fascia. It's all connected. I'm basically taking this fascia and making it longer so there's more space. Another example would be people that had problems with their shoulder. They couldn't elevate the shoulder. I would have them lay face down, and if they had a restriction on the left shoulder, I would work on the right calf and Achilles tendon. And that always seemed to open up the shoulder. Why is that? Because the fascia on the right lower part of your body is connected to the left shoulder. Another example would be people that had right shoulder pain through here. I would work on the gallbladder area. Now, in the past, I would talk about the phrenic nerve being involved, which is probably true, but I think also all the fascia that surround that phrenic nerve that go all the way up into the third cervical vertebra through here with all the different fascia attachments. So as I loosened this part up, it freed up this part. Fascia is extremely innervated by little tiny nerves that allows the body to know where it is in space. And this is why the fascia is very important for balance, coordination, and it has this amazing ability to be able to change its material properties. It can go from being very rigid to very elastic if you sit all day and don't move at all. The environmental message is don't adapt, just get tight and hold the person in that position. So you see this in the nursing homes a lot with people in this one position, like all day sitting, their body just grows like that. It's in communication with your environment unless you get an injury. In other words, when you start walking or moving, now things have changed because we had that injury, and now you're guarding a little bit on one side of your body. So the secret to restoring fascia has to do with adding dynamic motions from different directions. So it's not just the same motion over and over and over again. I remember in my 30s, the only exercise that I did, it was just biking over and over and over and over. My psoas muscles, which are the hip flexors, became so tight because I was doing that same motion over and over and over again. I'm going to put the videos that I'm personally doing down below, but there's many more that you can find. I want to give you the general principles of what to do. Another thing that I'm adding to this program is high doses of vitamin D3. I'm doing 50,000 IUs every single day. If you're ever going to do a similar thing with vitamin D, you want to make sure you take the cofactors, vitamin K2 and magnesium and zinc and B6. And that way you can prevent any problems that may come up from taking high doses of vitamin D. And if you want more information about vitamin D and the cofactors, you should watch this video right here. Today we're going to talk about a very fascinating relationship between vitamin D and zinc. The majority of the population on this planet has a vitamin D deficiency. But what many don't realize is that the importance of having enough zinc to allow vitamin D to work. Let's just pretend this is the receptor, and you also have zinc. So in order for this receptor to receive vitamin D, you need zinc. Okay, zinc is essential. If you have a deficiency of zinc, the vitamin D receptor will not accept vitamin D. So many people don't just have a vitamin D deficiency, they also have a zinc deficiency. So let's just talk a little bit more about zinc. Zinc is the second most abundant trace mineral on this planet. And the first one is iron. So zinc is really important, not just for vitamin D, but for about 2,800 different proteins. And if you're deficient in zinc, you can pretty much predict the person's going to have a vitamin D deficiency. And so if you're exhibiting certain vitamin D deficiencies, let's say, for example, your immune system is weak, or you have low back pain, or you're depressed, or you have high blood pressure, and you're taking vitamin D, yet you really need zinc, then vitamin D is just not going to work. So what does a zinc deficiency look like? Well, they can lose their taste or their smell. They can have low testosterone. They can have problems with diarrhea. They can have problems with alopecia, where they lose their hair. They can have various inflammatory problems with their skin. They can have vision problems, even develop an ulcer. This is why zinc is really good for digestive ulcers as well as inflammation. But another really important function with zinc is the immune system, right? So if you're deficient in zinc, you're very susceptible to having problems with infections and viruses invading the body. If your zinc is really, really low, you can even develop what's called thymus atrophy, where the thymus gland, which is a gland right on top of your heart, it's a training camp for your T cells, your immune cells. And so without enough zinc, that thing shrinks and becomes atrophy. So both zinc and vitamin D are really, really important for the immune system. Even inside your immune system, there are receptors for both zinc and vitamin D. So in other words, there's different parts of your body that can activate vitamin D from the inactive to the active form. Well, your immune system also does it as well. It'll take the inactive vitamin D and convert it into the active vitamin D with the help of zinc. And that active form of vitamin D is so important in your immune system. It not only moderates or controls or manages the immune system, but it also protects like overreactions of the immune system, like a cytokine storm, an anaphylactic shock, something that's out of control. Vitamin D is also important in regulating whether someone develops an autoimmune disease or not. You even have the transformation from a monocyte to a macrophage, which the macrophages are basically just bigger immune cells, like Pac-Man, go in there and start eating up bacteria. In order for a monocyte to convert into a macrophage, you need this active form of vitamin D, which is dependent on zinc. Now, yes, you can take a supplement with zinc. Just make sure you also have some copper in there, you have the right balance, and you have other trace minerals. But let me just kind of go through the foods that are high in zinc. Oysters, lobster, shrimp, liver, as well as red meat, which is interesting because If you look at all the different organs that zinc is stored in, your muscle is at the top of the list. Nearly 50% of all the zinc in your body is stored in your muscles. So when you eat animal muscle protein, you can get a really good source of zinc. Now, let's talk about what can cause a zinc deficiency, okay? Well, number one, it's not consuming things high in zinc. Number two, it's phytates. Phytates is a chemical in grains, it's in legumes, which tend to bind and block the absorption of certain minerals, including zinc. And this is why many children in different parts of the world, because they're consuming cereal as their main calories, and they develop a lot of problems, especially with diarrhea, which is very dangerous because you could die. When you have chronic diarrhea, you can lose all your minerals, especially the electrolytes to the heart. And as a side note, zinc is one of the most common deficiencies in pregnancy. So it's so important for a pregnant woman
To eat healthy and have a variety of foods, not necessarily to do intermittent fasting or anything like that.
but eat the healthy version of the ketogenic diet, which includes a lot of animal protein, fish, things like that. There's another condition called sickle cell anemia, which has a lot of complications, a lot of problems. But if the person is taking zinc, they have a lot less complications. Apparently in sickle cell anemia, the person is usually always deficient in zinc. There's a higher zinc demand, and there's more zinc being excreted through the urine. Remember, zinc is involved in 2,800 different proteins throughout the body. So as you can see, the importance of zinc in preventing a vitamin D deficiency. And on top of that, vitamin D also allows zinc to be transported through the body. So they're both dependent on each other. And zinc is also important for other vitamins too, like the receptor for vitamin A and also the receptor for cortisol, which is the stress hormone. In another video, I talked about the importance of magnesium with vitamin D. If you have not seen that video, very important. I put that up right here. Check it out.